And in the racing side of things, how was LRP at this point?
We started brushless. So we were the
I
first
did not know
to do
that.
Yes.
Let's talk about that.
Before it was brushed. And in the end of brushed, we also started LiPo, I think. Because before that,
Really, because I thought it was Novak that came up with the first brushless system.
We had the first brushless system. I'm quite sure.
Well, let's talk about that.
Either us or Novak or at the same time, because the regulation was done by us together with Novak. So the issue was just that brushed was quite maxed out. You had to run it like once, and the collector, you had to do this new every run, and it was getting crazy for normal people. And it was just getting to a point where it was really expensive and really hard to get into it in the first place. So us and Novak, I think, realized this more or less at the same time and made a brushless speed controller to fix this. And I think I'm not sure if we were the first one to do boost as well, but all of the stuff that now is standard, we have been really involved in developing it. Also, we were the first to come up with low center of gravity batteries, I'm quite sure. So
and
before
LiPo,
it was yes, on the LiPos, I'm not completely sure, but I know that us and Novak quite at the same time had the first brushless systems, and for sure we made the first LCG batteries because I was involved in that at the time in the discussions.
So I have a question. What was the big breakthrough in brushless? We did brushed for a long time. I assume that brushless motors were around prior to this.
But in industry, they were used, to my knowledge. So I don't think that it was invented in RC, the concept.
Right.
I'm quite sure it wasn't, but I think
adapted for RC car racing, because I'm pretty sure like helicopters and all that had it. But do you know what happened?
Yeah. So just as I said, the motors would only do one run at good power, and this had to be changed.
Right, this brush motor.
Yes, brush motors in the end was basically one run or maybe two, and then you had to take it apart, do the winding new and do all that. So that was, and do new brushes all the time. So that was not really sustainable for anyone. It was good for the manufacturers, but we wanted to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we started probably in 2006 or something around that. We probably started to develop it. And I think the first time it was really around at the big race, but I'm not too confident on it. But the first Worlds where it really changed from brush to brushless was the Touring Car Worlds in Bangkok. There's that legendary video of Atsushi Hara versus Mark Reinhardt.
I know that video. RC Racing TV's video.
Well.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And that was when Touring Car was like the shit. Like still the shit.
At that race, it was 10 out of 10 speed controllers, LRP on Oswan in the final.
Really? Impressive.
So that was, I think nobody ever did it before, and I'm confident nobody will ever do it again.
Amazing. I remember when the brushless came out, Ernie Paretti, may he rest in peace, he was so against it. I remember he wrote this big article like about it and how it's bad, it's going to ruin the industry and all that type of stuff. It has absolutely done the opposite, because I believe I read that. Now somebody probably going to say, no, you didn't read that, Lefty, but I think I read it in a magazine. I think I read it on the internet, something way back in the day. It has revolutionarily changed the industry. Like, somebody told me the other day, I want to go back to brush. I was like, no, you don't. Nobody wants to do that. You don't want to lathe motor comms and put new brushes in and you want to plug and play. I think it rejuvenated 10 scale. It has created the new E-Buggy, E-Truggy, all this type of stuff. This whole basher crowd where we have, these big 8S systems and all this type of stuff. If it wasn't for brushless, we would have none of that. Like, I was at a basher event and they were showing me motors the size of this, and it's insane. The technology, and it's still pretty much cost effective, right?
It's really better in almost every aspect. I mean, even the drivability now is probably better than brushed ever was. So yeah, it's really good. And I would have to double check with Jürgen if we were the first ones to do it in RC, but in competition RC, I'm quite
Competition
sure
RC.
I'm quite confident we were, but I can double check.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody that's listening to this will come in and say, "No, it wasn't. It was this person on such and such date." But
yeah, probably
cool
there was some guy in his garage who tried it first. But
yes,
but we were the first on industrial scale, I would say.